The mirror I bought from a thrift store shows someone else. I froze in front of the mirror. My reflection was smiling, but I wasn't. My heart stopped as I took a step closer. The girl in the mirror looked exactly like me. Same brown hair, same freckles, same blue sweater, but her eyes were wrong. They were darker, colder, and her smile, it was too wide. Then she lifted her hand and waved. I didn't move. My arms were at my sides, but in the glass, hers was raised, waving like she knew me. The lights flickered, and her mouth moved, forming words I couldn't hear. Then, in a voice that sounded just like mine, she whispered, "Let me out." The mirror shuddered, and then it cracked right down the middle. 3 days earlier, I was just a normal college student trying to decorate my first apartment. My best friend, Emma, and I were walking through an old thrift store downtown. The place smelled like dust and forgotten memories, full of weird antiques and creaky floorboards. I wasn't looking for anything special, just cheap furniture. But then, at the very back of the store, half covered by a dusty sheet, I saw it. A tall, old-fashioned mirror with a golden frame, carved with strange little patterns that looked like vines, or maybe faces. It stood almost as tall as me. "This is perfect," I said, brushing off the dust. Emma wrinkled her nose. "It's creepy. Look at those carvings. They're like tiny people screaming." I laughed. "That's just your imagination. It's vintage. It'll look great in my hallway." The store clerk, an older woman with gray hair, came over when she saw me staring at it. "You want that one?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," I said, smiling. "How much?" She hesitated. "It's been here for years. People say it's strange. Sometimes it shows things that aren't really there." Emma nudged me. "See? Told you it's cursed." I laughed again, even to her words made me a little uneasy. "That's just an old story. I'll take it." The woman sighed and sold it to me for $20. She made me sign an old paper receipt, her hands shaking slightly. "Be careful," she said softly, "and don't keep it in your bedroom." I rolled my eyes. "Got it." That night I brought the mirror home. My apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the rain tapping against the window. I set the mirror up in the hallway, right across from the front door. When I stepped back to look at it, I smiled. "See, Emma? Not creepy at all," I said out loud to no one. But as I looked at my reflection, something felt off. The lighting was fine, but my reflection looked slower. When I tilted my head, the reflection followed, just a fraction of a second late. I blinked. "Okay, that's weird." I waved my hand. The reflection waved too, but the delay was still there, small but real. "Maybe it's just me," I muttered. "I'm tired." I turned away to grab my phone, but out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw something move in the mirror. I spun around. Nothing, just my reflection staring back, still smiling, even though my face was neutral. I frowned and stepped closer, squinting. "What?" A faint whisper brushed against my ear. I jumped back. "Emma?" I called out, forgetting she wasn't there. The whisper came again, softer this time. "Hello." I turned on every light in the hallway, trying to shake the chill crawling up my neck. "It's just the wind," I told myself, but the windows were closed. That night, I tried to sleep, but I kept hearing faint tapping sounds, like fingernails against glass. I pulled my blanket tighter and told myself it was the pipes. By morning, I had almost forgotten about it, until I passed the hallway again. The mirror looked darker now, like it was holding its own shadow. I stopped us and stared for a moment. Then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. My reflection wasn't matching me anymore. My hair was tucked behind my ear, but hers wasn't. I slowly lifted my hand. She didn't move. The reflection just stared at me, her lips curling into a slow, eerie grin. And then she mouthed the words I couldn't forget. "Let me out." I screamed and stumbled backward, knocking over a lamp. The glass flickered, and the mirror's surface rippled like water. I could see her pressing her hand against the inside of the glass, the cracks spreading under her palm. And then, a sharp snap echoed through the room as a long crack split down the center of the mirror. Something moved behind the glass, and it looked like it was trying to crawl through. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, the woman in the mirror, standing just behind me, smiling that awful, broken smile. I kept the blanket pulled over my head like a kid afraid of monsters. Only this time, I wasn't sure the monster wasn't real. By morning, I told myself I must have imagined it. Maybe the lighting, or a trick of the glass. I had been stressed lately. That could explain things. But when I walked past the mirror again on my way to the kitchen, I froze. The glass was fogged over, like someone had breathed on it from the inside. I rubbed it clean with my sleeve, and there she was again. Only this time, she moved. Her hand pressed against the inside of the mirror, her pale fingers flattening against the glass. I gasped and stumbled backward. My coffee mug fell and shattered on the floor. I blinked hard, once, twice. She was gone. I should have smashed the mirror right then, but curiosity is a dangerous thing. I needed to know what it was, what she was. I called my friend Amy that afternoon. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "You ever heard of haunted mirrors?" She laughed. "Haunted mirrors? What, like that Bloody Mary stuff we used to do in middle school?" "Yeah, kinda," I said. "I think there's something wrong with mine. We must." To have heard the shake in my voice because she stopped laughing. "You're serious?" "I saw someone in it," I whispered. "Not me." Amy came over that evening. I felt safer with her around, but not by much. The sky turned deep blue as the sun dipped behind the trees. We stood in front of the mirror, both staring at our reflections. For a long moment nothing happened. Just two tired faces staring back. Amy smirked. "See? It's fine." Then the lights flickered. When they came back on, the reflection didn't match. Amy's reflection was smiling, even though the real Amy wasn't. Haley," she said quietly. "Why am I smiling?" I looked at her reflection. It grinned wider, too wide, and then it turned its head toward me, even though the real Amy hadn't moved. We screamed and stumbled away. Amy grabbed her phone flashlight, and we bolted to the kitchen. My heart was beating so fast, I thought it would explode. "What the hell was that?" Amy shouted, her voice shaking. "I don't know," I said, "but it's not just me." We went back to check once we calmed down a bit, but the mirror looked completely normal again. Amy left soon after. She didn't even say goodbye, just mumbled something about calling me tomorrow. But she didn't. The next day I tried texting her. No response. I called her 3 times, straight to voicemail. I even drove by her apartment, but her car wasn't there. That night, when I walked past the mirror, my blood ran cold. There were 2 figures inside it now, me and the woman, but behind her stood someone else, someone who looked exactly like Amy. Her reflection's eyes were empty. Her mouth moved slowly, whispering something I couldn't hear. I leaned closer, my breath fogging the glass. And then I heard it. So faint, I almost missed it. "Help me." The woman in the mirror grabbed Amy's reflection by the throat and dragged her into the darkness. I screamed and stumbled backward. My lamp fell and shattered. The lights went out. And then, for just a second before everything went black, I saw my reflection still standing there, grinning. I woke up on the floor, my head pounding and my room freezing cold. The mirror stood in front of me, untouched, perfectly still, as if nothing had happened. The shards of the broken lamp glittered like ice around my feet, but I knew what I saw. Amy was in there. I reached for my phone, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped it. No messages, no missed calls. I opened Amy's Instagram. Her last post was from last night, a picture of my living room, captioned, "Haley's mirror gives me the creeps." The post was still there, but her account was gone, deleted. That's when I decided to end it. I grabbed a hammer from the toolbox in the hallway and stood in front of the mirror. My reflection stared back, trembling, afraid, but also different. The woman was gone. Just me. I lifted the hammer, ready to smash it to pieces. But then my reflection smiled. Not me. My reflection. The hammer slipped from my fingers and clanged onto the floor. I froze as my reflection tilted her head slowly, like she was studying me. Her lips moved. No sound came out. Then she raised her hand, and behind her I saw Amy, standing in the dark, her eyes wide, her hands pressed against the inside of the mirror. I screamed and stumbled back, but my reflection's hand shot forward and pressed against the glass. Her fingers pushed through like the surface was made of water. Cold air rushed out of it. I felt it against my skin. I ran to the door, but it slammed shut on its own. The whole room began to hum, like a low, vibrating sound deep in the floorboards. The mirror started to shake, cracks spidering across the surface. I covered my ears and shouted, "Stop! Please stop!" Then silence. When I turned around, my reflection was gone. The glass was now black, like a void. I could see nothing but my faint outline in the darkness. Slowly, I stepped closer. "Haley," a voice whispered from inside. Amy's voice. I pressed my palm to the surface. It felt cold, but soft, like skin. "Amy?" I whispered back. "Help me," she said again, her voice trembling. "She's here." Before I could react, a pale hand shot out of the mirror and grabbed my wrist. I screamed, trying to pull away, but it was too strong. I could feel its icy fingers digging into my skin. Another hand reached out, grabbing my shoulder. And then I saw her. The woman. Her face pushed through the glass, cracked and bleeding light. Her empty eyes stared straight into mine. "You shouldn't have looked," she hissed. The glass shattered. I fell backward, hitting the floor hard. The air went cold, my breath fogging up. When I looked up, the mirror was in pieces, broken shards scattered everywhere. But each piece still showed me. Dozens of me. Each one smiling. Each one whispering my name. I ran out of the room and out of the house, barefoot and shaking. I didn't stop until I reached the street. When I looked back, the windows were dark, except one. My bedroom window. Someone was standing there, and she was waving. I moved out the next morning. The landlord didn't even ask why, but I swear. Sometimes when I walk by store windows or see my reflection in a passing car, I catch a glimpse of her behind me, just for a second, smiling, watching, waiting.